Health inequities also exist within countries. For example, in Bolivia, babies born to women with no education have an infant mortality greater than 100 per 1,000 live births, while the infant mortality rate of babies born to mothers with at least secondary education is under 40 per 1,000. So as you can see, one of the most important social determinants of health inequities is education. Another example, life expectancy at birth among indigenous Australians is substantially lower than that of non-indigenous Australians. For indigenous Australians, the life expectancy at birth is around 59 years for males and 65 years for females. For non-indigenous Australians, it's about 76 for males and 82 for females. So there's a strong difference in life expectancy at birth, which is one of the most basic and essential indicators of health between these two groups who are actually living in the same country, but seem to have different access to healthcare services or maybe different levels of living standards in general. Another example, life expectancy at birth for men in the Carlton neighbourhood of Glasgow is 54 years, which is 20 years less than that of men in Lancey, which is another neighbourhood in the city of Glasgow in Scotland. As you can see, health inequities can occur even within the same city. And this is a very drastic example that there's a difference of 28 years of life expectancy within the same city, simply when moving from one neighbourhood to the other neighbourhood. The Carlton neighbourhood in Glasgow, Scotland, obviously is one of the poorest neighbourhoods in that city, whereas Lancey is a very, very rich neighbourhood in Glasgow, where people are highly educated, have very good jobs, and can afford the highest quality in terms of healthcare facilities that they access. A last example is that the prevalence of long-term disabilities among European men aged more than 80 is 58.8% among the lower educated versus 40.2% among the higher educated. Again, this shows that education is a key social determinant of health. Let's go back to the example of life expectancy in Australia again. And here you can see the geographical distribution, first of all, of the indigenous population in Australia. You can see that the indigenous population mostly lives in the northern and in the western parts of Australia, with also some clusters in southeastern Australia, whereas the non-indigenous population is mostly situated in coastal regions. And you can see very clearly here that there's a clear correlation between the percentage of indigenous population living in certain regions of Australia and the median age. So that's another indicator for life expectancy at birth in those regions. The correlation between poverty and health is referred to as the social gradient. That means that across the world we can observe that those people who are living in poverty are people with the worst health conditions, whereas people who are non-poor are those with the best health conditions. This is the so-called social gradient.